In my recent visit to the Dominican Republic, I fell in love with their fried chicken called Pica Pollo. The little town where I stayed, Las Galeras, they had a little place that served it as small bite-sized pieces, as opposed to a whole thigh or a whole breast, etc. After an afternoon at the beach, it's the perfect food for everyone to pick at to get something in their stomach. It's absolutely delicious. I'm going to take a stab at it. Here I have a whole chicken and I'm going to butcher it like you normally would, taking off the legs, taking off the wings, cracking the breast in the middle, and get that all sorted out. This is how you would normally do it if you were doing regular fried chicken with whole pieces. So now that we have our pieces all sorted out, this is where the fun part comes. You're going to want to make these pieces a little smaller than they are. So for instance, I have the breast here. I'm going to cut that in thirds and maybe in quarters, just so they'll be finger size. You can just pick them up after they're done. You can go through all the pieces and just either chop them in half or chop them in thirds. It's all up to you. It's your preference how big or small you want the pieces. And the way I had it, the pieces were so small you really didn't know what you were grabbing, whether it was a piece of a thigh or a piece of a wing or a leg. I think that was the fun part of it. After your pieces are cut, just put them in a bowl, and I'm going to throw in a couple of teaspoons of oregano. This is Mexican oregano because that's what I have in the house. I'll throw in some salt, and I'm going to grate in a couple of cloves of garlic. And just mix that all together and let it sit for a while we do our flour dredge. And for the flour dredge, I'm going to do some smoked paprika, some onion powder, a little bit of garlic powder, some black pepper, and a pinch of salt. We'll just mix that all together and set it aside. Once we start dredging our chicken, just cover all sides lightly and shake off the excess and just place it on a resting rack. We'll go through all of these and do the same. And then we'll throw the resting rack aside and let it sit and let that flour kind of penetrate the top layer of the chicken. So here I'm going to fry my chicken in batches and try to select similar sized pieces to throw in the fryer here. Well, it's just a pot of hot oil, but I'll do these in batches. And we're just going to do a double fry here. We're going to cook these until they're almost all the way cooked, but just get a good color on them and take them out and let them rest, and then we're going to cook them again, and that'll get them extra crispy. What we're doing is just trying to get rid of all the moisture that's on the surface of the chicken, so on the second fry the oil will really start to do its job and make everything really crispy. Right now we're taking it out and all that moisture is going to evaporate while we let it rest. So once we're done with that first cycle of frying, I'm going to strain out my hot oil and get all the bits and pieces that were collected in there on the first fry. So I kind of organized myself here with the ones I pulled out first on that top row, and I'm going to start doing them in batches again. Here I have the oil a little bit hotter than I did on the first fry. On the first fry I did about 350 and now I have it at 370, 375. You're going to see the oil really start doing some magic on the color of the chicken. It's really going to start working. You're going to start seeing a really deep golden color to them. Look at that. And just be patient with it. Here's a close-up. Super crispy, really delicious. And just like any other food, we have to let it rest. Meanwhile, let's make some tostones. Here I have some plantains that I cut up at about 1.5 inches or so. And we're gonna fry these once until they're tender. And then we're gonna fry again after we smash them. It's kind of a double fry kind of day. Here we'll pull them out after they're golden and tender inside. You can pinch them to see if they're soft. You don't want them too mushy, but you do want them a little bit tender so they're easy to smash. So normally you would use a tostonera, which is a small press that's made out of wood, but I don't have one. So my tortilla press will act as my tostonera, even though it's large, but it'll get the job done. So you just want to press lightly and just kind of give them a good little press, but let them have some thickness to it. And we'll go through all these and do the same. And then we'll fry again. And we'll just throw them back into the fryer, or my hot pot of oil, and we'll fry them for a few minutes. They don't take long on the second round. It'll be pretty quick. And if you have any doubts, just pull one out and taste one. See if it's to your liking as far as texture goes. And here, as soon as they float, it's a good indication that they're good and ready to be pulled out. So I'm just going to pull them out and hit them with a little bit of salt, and then I'll go straight to plating. Tostones want to be eaten as soon as they come out of the oil. You want them nice and hot. When they're cold, they're not that great. So I'm just having a little fun here, placing things kind of randomly, just so you can just put the plate in the middle of people and they can just pick up what they want and pick at it. Place a few limes in between. A squeeze of lime on this chicken is really good. And there you have it, one of my favorite ways to fry chicken, Pica Pollo. Thanks for watching.